welcome to Culture of Paint. In this final episode of the year, we're going to take a look at our hobby highlights of 2022. We'll close out the show, as usual, taking another look at what the hashtag Paint Cultists have been up to. Now, Culture of Paint's aimed at a mature audience, so we might use explicit language and discuss adult themes. Now let's talk about paint. And we're back in, the chat's there, everything's working. Lovely. Hi everyone, I'm Henry, and joining me as usual are Matt, Andy and Rich. How are you, gents?
Pretty good.
All good, mate.
Good. This is it. Another year. We've made it. Our third retrospective. Yeah.
Is it? We've done 3 years of it.
Christ.
No, our first ever episode was a look back at whatever it was, 2020. So
we've done 2 on the dot now.
We've done 2, yeah. We're doing all right though. Doing all right.
Blimey.
Could be worse. And 24 episodes this year. That'll do. That's not bad at all. So, as I said in the intro, this one's a little bit different to our normal format. It's really just us taking a look back over the year and picking out a few of our highlights. Obviously, there's way more than we're going to talk about because we'll have forgotten most of them. But certainly, I think season 2, every episode's a very watchable one, isn't it? So I'm sure we covered a lot of it in there. Right, this is not going out live like it normally does, but we have got the Patreons in the chat just so we're not just screaming into the void as well. So if they've got any questions, fire them over. But I will certainly make the effort to watch this back live with you when you're watching. So hopefully I'm in the chat now talking nonsense. Right, picks of the year, not picks of the week, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So Matt asked us to list our favourite paint job, sculpt and
Event.
You're right. So what we got?
First up, Andy's.
Oh, I never.
That's nice.
Fucking slides, do I? Sorry. Never remember. Never remember.
You got it.
We're doing all my favourites, so I thought we're doing all the paint jobs. I don't know. I can do that.
I've done it, so we all have our favourites. So it's like show, paint, drop, sculpt.
Right, I wasn't expecting that, I guess, but I'm ready for it.
Ready? You got the link open, Henry?
Yeah, sorry, boys. I'm getting the weirdest Sarah, so you just crack on talking and I'm going to sort out myself.
So, I think you picked World Model Expo as your favourite show, Andy?
Oh, that's a nice picture. Yeah, it was amazing. I picked this one because I've never been to World Model Expo. It's only every 3 years, and it had been 5 years since the last one, so it was pretty epic. So yeah, it was I don't know. Whenever you go to a show for your first time, it's always different, right? Like Rich, we always say first Monty was just insane. And yeah, this one just felt really, really cool. Yeah, I don't know what else to say. It was just insane. I think there was 4,000 models. I think
it's quite a lot.
I know. It was I know it was almost the most ever. Some people were saying, but the World Model Expo brings a lot of people. No. So yeah, it was a crazy one. So yeah, it was just mental. I guess we did the special on it, and I said all the right things then.
And
it was great to have the organisers on as well, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was pleased for Robert, him getting that done, because I feel bad that the year that, because he won't do it again, probably, and the time that he gets to do it was the COVID time, and he would normally get a long time to prep, but because it was like, oh, it's on, he actually got less than normal because they didn't know it was on or off. They were just kind of always on standby. So yeah, I'm looking forward to the normal SMC, which Matt, you're going to come to for the first time.
Going to be good.
Yeah, that'd be great. So that's October. So the World Model Expo changes hosts every year, and the SMC hosts did it this time. That's where it gets confusing, but it will be in the same venue, which is fantastic, in Eindhoven. So if you're watching, this is a show to do, 100%.
Nice.
Lovely jubbly. Right, what were your other picks?
So, I think you picked this for your paint jobs.
Yeah. Do you know what? There's a few paint jobs I looked
Yeah.
at, and I was like, oh yeah, that was my favorite this year. And some of them were 2020. It wasn't even last year. I was like, oh man, that is scary. And I actually had to think quite hard. What's my favorite paint job? Nothing really jumped out. And I don't know, this one, which got best of painter at Monty, which is a big prize. I think it's kind of what I would like to do. Yeah, I don't know. It's just a style I like. That's what I'd like my stuff to look like. I think it's got the right balance of like, it's got lighting and highlighting all the modern stuff, but it's also goes back to a little more subdued. There's not really any effects. Do you know what I mean? There's just something about it. There's not really any gimmicks on it. It's just really well painted. And that shield with the owl is super cool.
In real life, it's mental.
Yeah. I think Mark was telling me that on his NMM, he paints it and then he puts a metallic medium only on the final highlights. So you get a little sparkle of actual sparkle. So if you look on like the helmet where there's the little glints, he puts some metallic medium over it or something. So this is Remy Tremblay, a French guy, and I think he sculpts for Cool Mini. Is that right? That's kind of his job.
Not sure.
He's a full-time sculptor and painter anyway. But yeah, I just thought this was phenomenal, and it's the kind of painting I like. But there is kind of like there's all the the gimmicks. Like there is OSL, there's non-metallic metal. There's all those things people talk about, but it's in this nice, just super classy. I think it's
they're just there, aren't they? They're not they're not screaming, look at me who's just learned this, or I'm trying to show off that I've nailed an MM Gold or whatever, right?
I mean, how good are those leather straps?
That's what jumped out to me was the leather. Yeah. How big is it?
It's from Black Crow Miniatures, great company. Nearly, I actually
long time, haven't they?
We were thinking about. I wanted to talk about best sculpt of the year, and I wanted to include Alejandro, who sculpted this. But there you go. Well done. But I managed to include the two painters and two sculptors because I managed to get Alejandro in there because he sculpted this on the paint bit. But the best sculpt he's done this year we can't show yet because it's for us.
There you go. There you go.
But I think Alejandro is fantastic, and this paint job on it was just brilliant.
Cool. I could see you painting that.
Yeah.
Go for it.
I think maybe a high elf bust in a similar look with that blue and white bit. That'd be cool, wouldn't it?
Classic. Yeah.
But yeah, favorite sculptor, I guess. Is that the favorite sculptor of the year? Yeah. So I was thinking about doing Albert for my favorite paint job, because it was one of the best. I just thought we've talked about that one a lot, and I wanted to just show that other paint job, which maybe has not been seen as much. But this sculpt, I thought actually, Albert's paint job was out of this world. But we got to talk about the sculpt because I think everyone's distracted by the painting. And I think Alan Carrasco is probably the best traditional sculptor. And this is just, absolutely perfect, isn't it?
Yeah, and I mean, the fact that you've picked a dwarf for your sculpt of the year, I couldn't be more proud.
Being objective, not subjective.
Finally. With what there's only like 10 comments on the stream, and one of them is already about how you're going to deal with not talking about elves until next year. So yeah,
mate,
spoiler is he's not. Check out Patreon at the minute. It's all pointy, isn't it?
Kickstarter whenever it is.
Oh yeah, that's one. It's super cool, right? We chatted about this a lot, didn't we, at the time when it came out? It was one of those. Who are we talking about? We talked about someone else recently with it. That triple threat thing of incredible artist, incredible sculptor, incredible painter, but that they work together, right? And not as in physically necessarily work together, but they complement each other very, very well. Like,
yeah. And I think the original art that this is based off is Daniel Zrom, who is incredible. I think he did the illustration of it, and I love his stuff. He'd be like a dream person to do an art for us. I love him. Yeah, he's just amazing. But yeah, Alan, I love Alan's stuff because he's still flying the flag for traditional. It definitely still has a place, but he is just so sharp. It's incredible.
Good choices, mate. Good start.
Nice.
So we've sort of done these few personal ones just to get it rolling, like we would do in our sort of normal what do we like over the last few weeks. So these are a little bit more subjective and personal, and then we sort of the main topics will be a lot more general. Obviously that was great kind of thing. But I think the chances are we're all going to really like each other's picks for this as well. So it's just going to be a nice, positive, gushy episode, I think, this one. Close the year.
My favourite kind. Let's just talk about how good some other people are. I like that.
Jonathan's saying in the chat, huge Paul Bonner vibes, right? But then, that man is I mean, he's not one of a kind, but you know what I mean? Like, it's a style. Paul Bonner stuff is a style. I love seeing photos where there's like him and Adrian Smith and some of the other, like, just nattering away at these shows. And I'd be like, I wouldn't be able to say hello. Like, literally, I'd just be.
Is that the Luca game?
Yeah.
Italian one. Yeah, that's cool. Really cool.
Yeah, super cool. I'm just going to mute for a second because I need to move something under my feet. That's going to be really annoying for people. So, carry on.
Thank you, Taylor. So, next up is
Monty San Savino.
So, you picked Monty.
Yeah, so my pick of the year for the show was Monty. It was the first time I'd been in, I think, 3-4 years.
I think you went in 18.
Something like that.
So, 4 years. 4 years.
It was the first time I've been in 4 years, and I just thoroughly enjoyed the entire experience. I know we'd been to GD since I'd been to Monty, and it was as much for the kind of hanging out with my mates, talking about hobby for a couple of days, drinking lots of coffee, eating lots of nice food, and just having a nice little break. But I'd forgotten. It was quite nice, actually. I'd been away from Monty long enough to kind of forget how good it is. So I think when you go every year, it's nice to go to shows every year, but sometimes I think you kind of forget how special they are or how good they are if you're there every year. So this was nice, as it had been a long time since I'd been. It was really nice to catch up with certain painters that I only speak to online because they're in different parts of the world. So it was really nice to speak to them in person. And also, it was nice to interact with people that have watched the poddy a bit since then. And there were some people that we chatted to who they would come over and introduce themselves and talk to us about the show, which was really, really nice. For us to sort of, get to speak in depth with people who you wouldn't necessarily get to speak to about the poddy that we do. So yeah, it was. I left Monty very, very excited and optimistic for hobby in general for the year. So that's why it was my pick.
Excellent.
It was a special year as well because we came with new recruits. I think we it was just the two of us, and we got taken under John Keyes' wing for the first
back in the day,
which was nice. But we also managed to add another 6 people, Matt included. Matt's eyes were open, that's for sure. I enjoyed seeing all the Golden Demon goers' reaction to it. That was one of the best bits for me.
And nothing will ever be as enjoyable as watching Matt eat food in Italy.
No.
But yeah.
Ken was better. Ken was better.
There
was a massive lump of fat left from this 6 kilo steak he had. And Ken was like, no one eating that. And we were like, no. He just goes, bam.
It was something to behold.
It was incredible.
And then for my painting choice was Arnau's Night Bust. I struggle with this one. I was just thinking about it. I did kind of similar to what Andy did and thought, oh, that's a great piece. I look at that, and that was fully last year, not the year gone, like 2021. So that was a bit of a struggle. And I was trying to pick something. The reason is because it's something that I aspire to. I've seen loads of pieces this year that I thought, you know what, that's really sick, that's really cool. And I could have picked loads of things that were sort of Games Workshop based or were, army based, because there's been some fantastic stuff that people have been doing. But I picked that Night because it is something at some point in the future, however far off it might be, that I would love to paint something like that to that level. Whether that's realistic or not is kind of beside the point. But I always think, rounding out the year and looking back at the hobby, it's kind of like also looking forward and what's the aspiration going forward? Like, what do I want to do? I do want to get into painting some big stuff. Not a lot of it, but just the odd piece here and there, just to really give it a go. And that,
I think one bust a year is a good target. I really think that.
Yeah, one bust or one big piece, or and that just had everything for me. It had all the bits that I liked, and it's just very much a style that I would like to emulate if possible. So yeah, that was why it was my pick.
I think it goes with your style, actually, Rich. I think that all the highlighting and stuff is kind of your vibe, and I can see you doing something like this for sure.
I do, for some reason, obsessed with highlighting all the way up to ivory. I don't know why, but I just am.
I'm a big fan of Arnau Silver. We may or may not have commissioned the box art with Arnau, specifically because we thought, who's amazing at silver? And it was busts like this. We're like, yeah, this is the guy for this job, which is really cool.
Yeah. Do you have a bust in mind of that sort of medieval historical that you might want to do?
There's been a couple that I've seen that I like, but it doesn't necessarily have to be historical. It was more just the way that he's painted it that I loved, cool. and taking that technique, that style, and putting it maybe into something fantasy based, I think would be really cool to do. And just really try at it. I've never tried properly at big scale stuff. I've always dabbled. Actually give it a go and do it properly.
Nice.
You'd be grand, I think, pal.
Yeah, I reckon so. Maybe take it to Monty next year. That would be the good aim. And then sculpt, take it back to Bitter Me. It was fucking so cool to see the crew come back. I'm obviously, as I go on about it all the time, massive Kill Team fan. Love the game, and I've loved how they've released kind of little snapshots from kind of my hobby past in these brand spanking shiny new kits. Like, what a year it was. We had Plastic Krieg, for God's sake. We had all these fantastic things come out, and I couldn't decide between Plastic Krieg and Kroot. So I went for Kroot just because the Krieg are great, but Kroot, that kit, every single one of them looks like a character model.
Yeah, there's something special
and they're
about
just,
it.
They are
insane. I've got a question for all of you. Which is the best one? Which is the best Kroot? Which is the best one in this slot?
Peg leg.
Yeah.
Peg leg. Which one's that?
Left,
second one up.
Yeah.
Oh, with the gun, yeah. I think second favourite. My favourite's extreme bottom left, because that kneeling down pose is awesome.
Super cool pose. I'm sorry, but I think the bird's a bit shit.
I would remove the bird. Yeah. I didn't actually know it was on the model. I was just looking at the kneeling down pose. But remove that, and
we've said before, haven't we? There seems to be this thing that they can either really nail little birdie pets, or I think they end up looking a touch Lego.
Yeah.
But yeah, the pote, like, that's got mini diorama all over it, hasn't it? That one.
Yeah.
I saw
Were there many of these? Sorry, Rich, go on.
No, I was just saying I saw a good version of that, because obviously I look at it from a rules point of view. That bird does do something, but there was a version of that where they cut the bird off, put a regular barrel on the end, and then they put one of the little drones from one of the little Tau drones on it.
That'd be cool.
And they borrowed a little Tau drone and stuck that on it. Cool.
That is cool. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't want to bag on it, because I think they are awesome. But yeah, it feels a bit incongruous.
It's very
that bird.
flat pose.
Just odd. Just odd. Were there many of these at GD, or was it too tight?
Too tight.
No.
Yeah.
Too tight.
I feel like these are a great you should enter Golden Demon, just paint a cool scene. Like these have got so much story, haven't they? You could drop in. You could have them fighting anyone just about in any environment. And they've just certainly we design our own models, and it's very hard. Do you design them so that they're clearly in a scene, or can you try and make them open enough that people can be creative with it and do it? And I think it's really showed with these. Like you know what's happening off camera, as it were, with all of them.
Yeah,
I might paint one and put it on 2A's base.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Would fit.
Yeah.
But just
they're
super cool.
definitely on my list of things to paint in the next year because I love them, and I think
great fun to paint as well. Loads of leather, loads of skin, lovely stuff.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, mega. Great choice.
Nice.
Choose mine.
So mine's next.
Ah.
My favourite show was Monty as well. I will always love GD, but I think going to Monty, it just, I don't know, it was just one of the best events, just not just because like the thing was there, it was just one of the best weekends, like hobby that I've ever had. They're just great people. It was just, that was amazing. I don't think it'll be beaten, to be honest.
Hard to be beat that year as well because your first time's pretty special. I don't know, is amazing. But the more you go, the more you get to know people. So I think I enjoy it more every year because you just have more friends. You gain a couple more each time, don't you? So, but I love the time of year it is as well because it really feels like the end of the painting year for me. You start new stuff.
Nice. And it was pretty surprising to get a silver with a GD one single thing in a whole display.
Go on, lad.
Yeah. No, it was amazing. But my painting, I picked Albert's Gretchen. I just couldn't not. It was just amazing. Everything about it was just everything I like. It had, Gretchen, Gorka Morka bits. Just a really cool scene.
Great story.
Yeah.
So you say it's everything you like. Is this, and obviously you're getting into the display painting now. Like, is this what you would aspire to? And I'm not saying you'll get there. Like 99.9% of people will never get there. But like, is this something you aspire to, or is it more just this is just your favorite thing? And
it's kind of a bit of both. Like, it's one of my favorite things of this year, and if I could get halfway there in my painting, and that'd be it, I'd be so happy.
But this is the type of piece that gives you that guidance almost. Yeah. Oh, I know the end point that I want to try and get to. Yeah, cool.
Definitely. It was cool. And it was just a cool little story that he built up around it with the whole the fantasy one he painted.
Oh, that's like outrageous, isn't it? Yeah.
The sort of the 40,000 years in the future one. I thought that was a really cool little theme as well. Yeah. That was
got the correct Space Marine helmet on it as well.
Yeah.
Yep. Correct colours as well. Everything.
The thing about this though, Matt, is the cool thing about it is like the mini and the story, right? And that's something that you can definitely emulate. And you can also get the painting style and the colours and things like that. I think the only thing that's very, very hard is how pristine and perfect it is. And I don't think that matters for making it cool. I just think, minis just in a cool scene is the most important thing, right?
Yeah, I mean, the way Albert paints is so perfectly smooth. It's amazing. It's not something I want to do for me just because it would drive me insane trying to achieve it. And I don't think I'd ever get there.
I feel like you've got that kind of focus though, mate.
No.
You know,
I think so.
you're not. I mean, think of the spreadsheet kung fu you've got. Like, apply that.
Hyperfixation.
Yeah.
I think you've got the
Nah.
personality to do it, mate. I do.
It's.
Like,
I
look at
mean,
me. Imagine me trying to do that.
I could probably get a decent amount of smoothness, but my biggest problem would be trying to get proper colours. I just can't see it. Like, someone would have to tell me which ones to use, and then I could use it. Whereas, you know, he can get his colour palettes right.
Fair. That might be an interesting topic. Hang on.
I'd be lost without the names
What
on the
colours
bottles.
does Matt think?
What colours can Matt see?
Yeah.
Would Matt eat it if it was this colour?
No. Bit of Xandri dust would be fine.
I was going to say.
Nice beige.
Yeah.
It's in the decked hand to Xandri dust spectrum, yeah. But that's it.
Xandri dust.
Great choices, mate.
Yeah. And it was also my favourite, like, conversion sculpt as well. So, yeah. Amazing. Love all the little bits that he's used, and like the Abaddon Space Marine helmet from the trophy rack and the Gorka Morka bits.
I was going to say old Gorka Morka bits.
Smoke's
Very,
amazing,
very cool.
isn't it?
Yeah.
Adds so much to smoke. What's the smoke from? Do we know the kit?
He lists it. I can't remember which bit that's from.
I don't know. There's so much of it now, isn't there?
I like it now. It's grown on me a lot.
Yeah, didn't we say that recently on a show?
We did, yeah.
We've seen
Yeah.
the first one was on like some random Space Marine backpack or something, and everyone was like, "Ugh, like what?" And now and
I think
it feels odd when it's not there.
with this one, he's kind of done it right. It's not like overly rendered. It's
just the right amount of orange in it.
It's really cool. But yeah, those are my picks.
Good picks, man.
So Henry, you had to go back and find your painting one. I couldn't remember it.
I know me either. I'm really sorry, guys, if I dropped out. Then my internet's been a bit funny, but I seem to be back. We seem to be good. Yeah, I mean, we'll whiz through mine super quick because I want to do it. I think, as the guys have said, it's very easy to pick, or hard rather, to pick your favourite things. Every time we do the show, there's been some awesome ones for the last 2 preceding weeks, and all of that. But actually, it was quite easy in the sense of I thought, what painted miniature has had the most impact on me this year? And it was easily this. Easily. I don't know. I don't know why. It's not my type of thing. It's not, it's not a model I'm not going to endeavour to try and find it. But I haven't really had this reaction to a paint job that I can remember. And I don't know. I don't think it's necessarily the paint job. It's the whole thing. It's the piece. Maybe it's since doing the show and we talk so much about miniature painting and art and the crossover and how it is a legit art form and all of this. And this one felt like the one. That was just a perfect example of it. And then you find out it's like the size of a postage stamp. And then that's jogged my memory there. It was a thumb last episode, the other episode, where Joshua's Kingfisher, that was his thumb. That was his slender thumb, not a finger. He just wanted to make that known. Gave me a little message saying, so, accuracy is important. But yeah, we featured it a few weeks ago. I believe it was the Monty miniature from a year or two ago or something. Is that right? And
Sure.
Not sure on that.
That was where it came from. But yeah, I just think it's perfect. So that was my choice of paint. And sculpt was, again, not something I would certainly that I don't typically own. I do love this type of art. I really love old illustrated Scandinavian, particularly like Norwegian and Finnish fairy tale books. They're amazing. I grew up, like, my mum and dad had loads of them on the bookshelves and stuff, so I'd always grow up looking at them. And this is Nordlist Miniatures, who it's great to see they didn't go under, as it were. We were a bit worried that they disappeared, and then they sort of came back with a few. And I'd like to say I'm pretty relaxed when it comes to like buying, like, impulse buying and all of that. Basically dead inside. But I saw this, like, it came up on the Facebook, like, just say in the comments if you want it, and I couldn't type quick enough. So it's just being cast at the minute. I think they're having some challenges.
Did you get one?
Yeah, because it's big.
Is it?
So it's quite challenging. I think they're finding, because of the size of it, the mold heating up too much, all that sort of thing. But yeah, I managed to get hold of one, so I've already been thinking about painting it for a while now, and I haven't really had that with a model for quite some time. So I'm just excited, and I think I might paint it just with oils. I think so. It's sort of, I've wanted something to try that with, and I think this might be the piece. So yeah, and I don't have an event pick, partly because my body betrayed me this year and stopped me going to events. So I'll just say it will be the next exciting event that's going to be new to the scene next year. That's going to be my favourite for this year, because it got decided on this year, but we won't see it till next year. So yeah, there's the personal ones. Let's jump in to the slightly more democratic choices. And
Games Workshop.
But they will inevitably be crossovers, because particularly events, I think we're going to talk about them again as well. But I can't remember what order they're in. So what's the next slide, Matt?
The redo.
The redoing.
The Space Delves.
Yeah. Give Andy some time to sort of compose himself. But yeah, I mean, GW have been mining the whole nostalgia thing for a while now. I'm not mad about that at all. But whereas we had the Primaris evolution for Space Marines, there was none of that for the Eldar. They basically just went and remade a load of the old kits and betterized them, and you now have beautiful. The plastic Guardian kit is easily that and Gothmog from Lord of the Rings, but this was easily the nicest kit to paint that I've done this year. Like, I loved doing the tutorials for this earlier in the year.
Best kit.
If Andy wasn't obviously frothing over them, I'd have been sore tempted to do a little project. It's just brilliant. It's so restrained. It's so tasteful. It's brilliant, right? That people coming into this hobby now that want to get into Eldar can have the same sort of excitement and joy people had 20 years ago when the last Eldar kit came out. It's just modern and better and updated. And it's just a joy. The sprue is brilliant, and they're the quickest things to paint.
The best troop choice in the whole game, I reckon. to paint. Paint.
Yeah,
just so chill.
I feel quite fortunate doing so many tutorials. Obviously, I do a lot of the troops and things for armies when they come out, and these were night and day the most fun, relaxing to do.
If you were going to do a force, what would you do, Henry? What craft world?
I do all sway, but I'd do them with the yellow hats, or as we spoke about in our favourite armies ever episode or something we did. I'd love to have a crack at that old school Beal Tan, when they changed over and the greens. But yeah, I think all sway with the yellow would be but it's never going to happen. But I did really enjoy doing that course there, so I think that might be my way of finishing.
I think it was really nice because I don't know about anyone else. I was a little worried about these when they were going to get released. I was not sure how they were going to go, and they're perfection.
Yeah, Andy, as a whopping great Eldar fan, how did you feel about the release?
I think I always said it's the Guardian kit is always what stopped me doing an army. Just not doing an army where the troop is terrible. And yeah, it was the Guardian kit was the main thing because they've always had bits and bobs that were fine. All the Wraith stuff from was it 2013?
Absolutely, everything
was
that's been done in the last sort of 8 years or so has been cracking, hasn't it? It's just like so many of the 40k ranges, they were in that limbo, weren't they? They had some really outdated stuff in with some really great modern stuff.
I think that the Howling Banshees are just incredible, and what I'm excited for is them doing the Aspect Warriors in, drip feeding. And it would be nice if they did all the Aspect Warriors in one go, but that might be a bit overwhelming. But now I've actually got an Elder army painted, actually done it. It's finished. I just wanted to do that, so when an Aspect Warrior comes out with its Phoenix Sword, I can get really excited about that and do it. So yeah, I'm just really excited for any Aspect Warrior they do next, because not my least favorite that they've brought out. I think Dark Reapers are my least favorite. Then Warp Spiders, but basically all the ones to come are my favorites, really. So Fire Dragons, Striking Scorpions, and Swooping Hawks. Those are the three. I just want those. So my favorite thing about
you can feel confident now, though, right?
Oh yeah, but can we go back to the Codex image? Because this is my favorite thing about the whole release was you can't use this in the game. That was my favorite. I don't know if they FAQ'd it, but I loved that you can't have a guy with that missile launcher and those wings. I love it. That's hilarious. Like, come on, guys. So I'm definitely going to build this guy. I'm going to use it, even if you're not allowed. It's on the front of the book, so whatever.
Lovely, lovely, lovely. And I think is the next one. What's the next one, Matt? Did we vaguely put them together? Yeah, we did. So when the Eldar release got done, we chat between ourselves and we'd be like, oh, it must be Guard next, because we had the Orcs. I think we maybe had the Orcs this year, did we? Or was that last year?
Last year.
Anyway, the Orcs had been fairly recent too, and we had all that we had the new beastie stuff, but actually in the middle of it all, they did redo the boys kit, and it's lovely, And again, it's that you want your core troop to be a kit you love, and I think having seen that and then seeing the Eldar, for me, the excitement of when are they going to do Guard, because thinking the Guard are going to get this treatment. And whether you like them or not, I think if you enjoy 40k, the lore, the tabletop game, or whatever, you need your humans, right? And these are your guys and girls that are going up against all the myriad nonsense that the rest of it is,
Well, they're cool now. That's the thing, because they weren't cool before because they had a terrible kit. Well, I think we're all so sad when that head sprue came out, weren't we?
Well, because I think a lot of people thought that was it, right, for the next 10 years or whatever. But there was definitely trepidation, and I think, just as you say, I think the Dark Reapers divided opinion with the Eldar release, whereas all the other stuff seemed to be generally widely praised. I think there was a little trepidation with the Guard, like what was going to go on, and they have definitely thrown in a few more Marmitey pieces. I don't mind that at all, but the major reason I think that's fine is because they've nailed your troop, your core troop. You want to do a wave of doom, here they are. And yeah, having painted again a couple of these, just an absolute joy. Just modern, crisp, like everything's defined on them. Yeah. Just very, very, very happy for you Imperial Guard and Eldar players. Yeah.
Well, I'm excited about 40k again, and I think the thing for me is, and I'm going to say it, but I think Space Marines are in the worst spot they've ever been in. But most other ranges, like Necrons, one of the best gloves ever. A perfect range, can't really fault it. Imperial Guard, fantastic now. Eldar, Orcs. So good. Yeah, all those armies I'm really excited about. I want to play against them. I want to play Ben's Guard. But Marines, don't know. They just, I think for me, they're in the worst spot. But I still want to play 40k, just not against any new Marines.
But I guess with that, I say at least, we know we're probably not going to have to wait long for the next something for them, and it might end up looking really cool. Like I thought the Black Templars release was pretty cool. Like for me, that was the best of the new weight for me.
There's some good stuff about them.
Gives me hope. But I think there's a lot of hangover from older players, not as in age wise, but players that played before Primaris came along. I think there's still a lot of that. You're struggling, and again, that's why I brought up at the start. I'm really glad that didn't happen with the Eldar, with the Guard.
Mm.
And I don't know if we got a slide of them, but the Rough Riders,
I don't have one of that.
Again, Marmite. I'm in love.
Yeah,
that they've done it. Like do I want them? No. Will I paint them? Maybe, if there's demand for it, but there probably won't be. Am I really happy they exist? Like, yes, absolutely, right? But we talked about Guard a lot on the Guard special, so we don't need to go into too much of that detail.
If you think about the kind of redo list of things this year, Orcs, Guard, Krieg, Eldar, all those different things, they nailed all of them. Like they got all of them right. Even like Khorne Berserkers that are coming out soon. The Sentinel. Oof. Yeah, the Sentinel. Like it's like you said, Andy. I think for me, 40k, that nostalgic thing I feel for 40k that I don't feel or didn't feel for the newest iteration of it, I now feel again because they've shown a lot of love to all the factions. Yeah, they've shown a lot of love to the factions that were around when I first started that I fell in love with. And they've been modernized, but they've kept the same, trying to dig a hole here, they've kept the same soul that the old ones had. Whereas, like you said, I think the Space Marines have lost that.
I think Chaos are amazing, though. I think Chaos are much
and of course
better
they had a huge release this year as well. I mean,
they've got tons.
It's been a ridiculous release year from Games Workshop, like legitimately ridiculous. You're telling me I've got Heresy back in plastic. We've got these incredible, like Warhammer Chaos is back, 40k Chaos is back. You've got
Forge World vehicles in plastic.
Outrageous the release this year, but this isn't going to be a GW retrospective. So I think, we'll stick a pin in these two and just say, if this is how armies are getting updated, then bring on next year. Bring on the mids, right?
Wow.
How cool could they be?
Bring on Dante. Come on. All right.
Right? Squats came back again. I know not everyone's cup of tea. They're wonderful. It's this year is madness with what we've had. But yeah, Dante, Azra, all these rumors we're getting. I love the weird looking demon with the metal wings. Like it's just there's a lot of excitement around 40k in my little groups of friends, and there hasn't been there for a long time. I'm not talking about the dice side of things. I'm talking more about the collecting and hobbying side of things.
I just think if you could go back and if we were doing this show last year and you said by then there'll be plastic Spartans and plastic Krieg just knocking around like it's nothing.
Yeah.
And Cadians and Guardians. What? Someone said Krieg, Cadians.
Yeah. And Squats are back.
Guardians.
Squats are back. Plastic Spartans.
Will give you every possible kit under the sun. I mean, that was a huge release. That Chaos release.
One of the biggest ones for me is just the Orc Boys. That amazing getting started box. Just 1 week. They're like, oh yeah, this is out now too.
Yeah.
It's almost like because of obviously everything that happened in 2020, everything that they wanted to release is now just condensed into 1 year.
I think there must be an element of that, right?
Just trying to get back on track.
Yeah.
Yeah, just get out. Just get it out.
Warriors. Aspect Warriors, come on, 2023. I'm ready now.
Yeah, it can be overwhelming, but I hope the amount of cool things that come out this year. I hope everybody that's into GW has had at least one real. Just here's my wallet, like give me it. And who the fuck knows what next year's going to be? But yeah,
they need to chill the fuck out. Is what they need to do.
Just I keep going, oh, I'm going to paint loads of stuff over this Christmas break. And I'm like, what are you on about? Like, you work for yourself. This isn't like, where's this
Christmas
mythical 3 weeks off you think you can have to paint stuff in? It's like, oh yeah, I'll get the squats.
I'll be putting out a video,
get
mate.
this
Christmas
finished.
Day.
But yeah, right. What's up next?
So from rather large producers to more smaller ones.
Here he is. Couldn't have best stuff of the year without him. Yeah.
I was going to say, actually, he did. I think he hit his record with the New Dwarf.
Oh yeah.
Over 1,200 copies sold.
12.
And he said, I can't remember the number. It was in the 30s. It was like 34 or 37 for his first product. And I think he was quite like, thank you. I did 37 copies of my first bust. Now 1,200. So well done. Absolutely deserved. And is it these 4 he's done this year?
Yeah, these are the 4 he did this year, yeah.
I mean, we kind of ran the sort of maths on the sales, and it's just brilliant. It's just so well deserved, and I'm just so happy that someone gets to make 4 models a year at home, and his wife does like the artwork, and I'm just like, what a cool business! Like, it's just I don't know, it makes me happy that someone can do that as a job.
It's also just all traditional as well. Like you could crank out God knows how many miniatures in a year if you did it all digitally, but like just doing it traditionally, it just is. It makes it so much more enjoyable.
To be fair, that you can crank out a lot of miniatures doing it traditionally, but he's chosen to be very meticulous and deliberate with what he does.
You should only do this many a year. Honestly, 4 is a lot. I think that's just right. And I think what happens is people discover his company. Eric Swinson was painting the Orc bust on stream this week, which is worth checking out every single minute of him painting it. But I get the impression he's like fed up of saying, no, you can't go and buy this. Like, stop asking for the link.
Yeah.
Hey, give me the link to the shop. But people are discovering, I have to jump on and get it, and then you follow it, and then most people will buy most of them. I think. I mean, I always buy them because I want to support him, and I just think, why not? Like, just collect them. They're the one of the few miniatures I'm very happy to collect with never painting, because I think if you had every Lucas Pina sculpt unpainted on a shelf, that would be unreal.
Yeah,
I'd love that.
Picked up the dwarf when it was out the other day, so I'm super excited for that.
You got one, did you?
Yeah, I like because he's doing the mercenary sort of scheme sort of thing that Dave Colwell suggested, and he's kind of run with it now. So he's got the mercenary goblin and now the mercenary dwarf, and I imagine he'll do another mercenary something in the future, which is quite cool.
I love that goblin. I don't think I'll ever paint that goblin. But
do you know if they do? Do you know if he does his casting and stuff, or not?
Yes,
he does. Right. So it really is a
one-man band.
He doesn't do his own casting.
All right.
Sorry.
Okay.
I thought you said, "Do I know who does it?" Yeah, he doesn't. He doesn't cast it.
Ian in the chat saying, "Do we think GW and other mini companies might slow down a bit over the next couple of years with sort of the current climate?" I don't know. Nope. Honestly, I don't know. I mean, we do this as a business, so we kind of have to be aware of what's going on. But we sort of said it in the small producers show we did. That if you want stuff to continue, you have to support it. It's as simple as that. Whether that's your local shop, whether that's a miniatures sculptor like this, whether it's someone that is slightly bigger than this, as in a bigger team, that therefore employs people, brings new artists in, brings new sculptors in. None of it happens if people don't buy those things.
I think GW might find themselves to be in maybe a bit of a, I don't know, maybe because obviously they've had 2020, 21, 20, like almost 2019 as well. It was like 3 massive years, like sort of record revenues, record profits, and now they have to keep that going. Like shareholders
There's a
will
ceiling,
demand
isn't
it.
there?
But
There's got to
there
be
is
a
a glass
ceiling, because
ceiling.
it's not. Yeah, they're creating something that exists, and if you think about it, just from a nostalgic purposes, or the amount of people that do this hobby that have done it for a long time, what is there that they can redo that they've not?
So much.
There is, but
so much. I honestly think it's. I know what you're saying, but I genuinely feel it's endless, and I don't think it will slow down because
it's
like,
tip of the
economy.
iceberg. I think
It can't.
I
slow
really
down,
don't. I don't think we've seen it really yet take off. But I think if you wanted to, if I had to like do it, phrase it succinctly, maybe the sales will slow down, maybe for GW. But what I don't think is going to slow down is the popularity of it. I think that's only going to increase, exponentially. This hobby is in a really healthy place, in the sense of new people getting into it. It is brilliant, right? And it benefits everybody. And you do, of course, you have to support GW if you enjoy their stuff. But yeah, particularly these other producers, whether that's miniatures producers, content creators, or professional content creators, the company, paint companies, all that sort of thing. If you love your hobby, support the people that do it for you. Where are we? Yeah. So thanks, Ian. It was a good question, that. And people in the chat again just chuff for Lucas, saying it's really nice to see his success. Absolutely.
To go from 30 odd to 1,200 in the space of what, 3? However long he's been doing it.
Yeah, maybe 5 years.
5 years.
Oh, no, 2014, I think.
I was going to say, when me and Andy first met, he'd done 1 or 2, and that would have been 2014, 2015. Yeah.
Even then, as a small producer, that's still amazing.
Yeah.
In that short amount of time.
It'd be nice to see. Who's coming through next as well.
So
yeah, and we will endeavour to bring that to you. Keep our eyes on what's going on there. Right, what's up next? Best stuffs of the year. Hobby highlights. What are we calling it? Speaking of Mr. Swinson, is his best of show Monty Sansovino 2022.
Quite good.
Very good.
Yeah, it weren't bad,
So fill me in on this piece.
I just think it's the most enjoyable to look at. I think the original art and character design, World of Warcraft does a lot because it's just cool. Like it's got massive it's a big cow dude with totem poles on his back. Like that's cool. But then Joaquin and Eric just really, really brought that to life. And it's a funny one because I'm not into World of Warcraft at all, but I just love it. And I just think Eric's been doing all these kind of things with the cast shadows. That's kind of his gig. And this is just like the best he's done, I think.
When we were in Monty and you walked into the room that this was in, you could see it from like fucking 10, 15 feet away. And it was one of those things where you see it and you go, what the fuck is that?
And
you go straight over to it.
The thing next
Why?
to it.
Why was that? So, is it massive?
It's big, but also it's huge. It's a big model, but also just the colours that he used, how vibrant it was, and the style that he painted it in.
And that stood out against what was surrounding it. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Like how just like personally, I don't know if this is how everyone else felt, but I saw that and I automatically gravitated towards it. In a sea of incredibly well painted models, it almost felt at Monty like there was too much good stuff. Normally, when I'm in like a painting competition and I see like the quality, I'm fairly confident at picking out the bits that stand out. Whereas with this, there was so much good stuff. It was almost like it was, you couldn't see the wood for the trees because everything that everybody bought was amazing. And I hadn't really walked around and seen anything that just absolutely dived out at me. But when I walked into the room and saw that I instantly had that, and like the reaction to it, I was like, I've got to go and look at that.
I mean, it's so high fantasy, isn't it? And then it's just got that orange
wow factor.
light. Yeah, it's cool. Really, it really hit home to me how important it is to keep minis kind of under wraps, because I think it had loads of impact. Just because no one had seen it yet. I think that makes such a difference, and I think it changed whether it would win Best of Show or not. To be honest, I think if he'd shown it on the internet 6 months ago, I don't know. This is probably a deep topic, but I think it just had such an impact on the day. And just everyone like looking at it.
What's it like? Miniatures from various IPs, particularly video game IPs. Is it particularly common to see or not? Or was this quite unusual to see a video game up against your more one-off generic goblin, dwarf, individuals' interpretations of them rather than a very, very well-known franchise?
I think.
I
just should say you see a few. It tends to a few people will go for one-offs, so they'll use something well-known if they're trying to make if there's a big statement piece. It's something that people know. Right. I don't think they tend to be. Maybe this is my opinion. I might be completely talking out my arse, but the big bits that I remember they're a complete like one-off that you've not seen before. That you've got a fantastic sculptor and an exceptional painter, but there's also that extra link to you because it's something that you know. So like I can't remember who the painters who did it, but the big space wolf, the wolf, the wolf priest.
Sergio.
Yeah, from a few years ago, and then we had a World of Warcraft one. The guy sat on the throne.
That's Sergio as well, yeah.
Oh yeah, there was, wasn't there?
And then this kind of for me falls into that category. People have done it with like some of the Paul Bonner stuff. There's a few,
that's it. The Paul Bonner stuff I get, and the Warhammer stuff to a degree I get as well, because it's kind of from within our little niche still.
Yeah.
But something like this is like seeing, and it wouldn't be, but like seeing a Mario or a Link or a things.
Don't give Andy ideas
like that.
I've already booked it in, pal.
but that's why I'm saying, like, are we now at that point where you have these iconic video game, characters that actually it's fine for they no longer have to be separated.
Depends what they are, doesn't it? Because Mario wouldn't be cool, but this is like it's a I don't know, what is it, an orc bull thing?
The Tauren, I think. God, don't come after me for that.
It works, just doesn't it? It's like some video game stuff wouldn't translate well, and then some does, but this is exactly like the artwork.
But like, say someone did a Witcher bust. That'd be popular, right?
Well, it's been done, hasn't it? Torbine did it. He did, and Alfami painted one. And obviously they couldn't sell it because of IP stuff, but loads of people would have bought it. There's that Assassin's Creed bust as well. That was really cool. Alfami painted that as well. So it's there. But
I think because we did the video game and miniatures painting, didn't we? Ages ago now, that feels like. It might be worth revisiting.
I think people know as well, with their ability to sculpt and with the readiness of 3D printers, I think that's only going to get more and more popular. There's nothing that's kind of like off limits now. Like whatever you want to create, depending on what your imagination is, you can create it.
This is trad as well, this one.
Very true.
Which is fucking
3-year-old
insane.
sculpt, I think. Yeah. Yeah, there you go. Pretty cool. So Joaquin keeps winning, right?
Yep.
he keeps winning. So this got me fired up for next year for sure. So booked in my slot for my my piece. But don't know how I feel about the whole one-offs thing. It's difficult. But I almost feel you have to, otherwise you don't have a shot, to be honest. But that's another discussion for another time.
Lovely. Have we got many more, Matt?
Got a few more.
I'm trying to think now. My memory's atrocious.
We have spoken about this one quite a bit, but I don't think it couldn't not go into S20.
Yeah.
I am sad that this didn't compete in Monty because he was a judge. However, it was really nice to see Eric win. But the shame about this piece is it didn't win Best of Show at World Model Expo. And everyone in my circle of friends, our circle of friends, is into Warhammer and fantasy, right? And everyone wanted this to win, but a historical piece won. And everyone's like, oh, all right, cool, whatever. And it was amazing, but yeah, it was in Monty you have best of historical and best of fantasy. And it was a shame that it got a gold, but it deserved a best of, you know? And Albert obviously didn't get a Slayer sword, and he didn't get a best of. And it's like, I feel like Albert deserves something more because he is one of the best ever. And this is probably his best piece. It's just insane. So I'm sad it didn't get a best of, but it almost doesn't need to because everyone who looks at it thinks it's incredible. So accolades are kind of irrelevant at that point because it kind of transcends that, right? It's just amazing. And everyone looks at it, thinks the same. So who cares?
Do you think it's one of them ones where if you showed someone not into the hobby, like they'd look at it and they'd be like, oh, that's really cool.
Yeah,
and they
maybe
then just assume that was how like how models are painted. You know?
Oh, they wouldn't get the gravity of what they're looking
it's like
at.
they're like, why are you losing your mind? It's like, yeah, that looks great. That looks like that's really cool.
Yeah, I think they'd just be normal. It's like people with who collect cars. You'll see a specific car, and there's only 9 of them in the world, and I go, cool, that's a blue car.
But you'd recognise it's well done, and you'd recognise it looks well rendered and all the rest of it. But I think in a way, because it's not super gimmicky, a bit like we've been talking about, it's just really nice.
I think if the person that you were trying to show it to had no knowledge of anything, and I think you'd have to really reinforce that it was painted, it's just not like that.
Yeah.
I've told you my story, haven't I? I've told you my story on the flight to Amsterdam with the chavs. This is so I'm going to World Model Expo, which is obviously you fly to Amsterdam, and I'm going on a Friday. So the lads on the flight were horrific, and I had my case, which is Hebrew, which is good and bad, but it was there, and these absolute lads, can in each hand, hammered. And I was like, oh, don't say anything about my stupid little models. But this one guy was like, it looks like there's a light shining on it, but there ain't. And I was like, I appreciate that. Well done. That's cool. So there you go. Got to give him a chance. But yeah, there's got to be some kind of test, right?
But that's kind of what I'm getting at with this, in that if you showed them like one of Kirill's NMM helmets with reflections in, right? I've had friends of mine that are nerds that aren't into miniatures painting that have somehow come across that photo of his, of the trees and everything in the reflection on Reddit or something like that, and they've been like, this is the stuff you like, isn't it? This is ridiculous. And I'm like, so if you said somewhere that's not metallic paint, then they'll lose their minds, right? But whereas this is just really nice.
I think if you I don't know, sat next to someone on the plane and they're like, oh, what do you do? I paint models. Show me a picture of what you do. If this was your paint job, they'd be like, oh, that's really cool. If it was my Space Marines from 2006, they'd be like, all right, mate.
I don't think people would understand the difference if I showed somebody like an army that I painted and I showed somebody that. I think you would get a very similar response for each one of just, oh yeah, that's cool. But if
I think they'd know this was good. I think they know this is good.
If that person was artistic,
Yeah,
I think they
Like,
would.
they
But
have to
if
have
they were
some
just Joe
pre-knowledge.
Blogs in the street, yeah, I don't think they would understand what they were looking at.
Right, we've
'Cause I
got to
think
go
you
out
get-
on the street,
and none
haven't
of
we?
this
We've
is
got to
meant
go
to
out on the
be.
street.
Yeah, none of this is meant to be detrimental. It's wonderful. It's amazing. But like, I was genuinely like wonder about it because it's
Oh yeah, it's a good
it's
thing.
almost so good, right? And you're so used to seeing, we're so used to seeing CGI and that type of thing now, aren't we? On TV shows and all of that. Everything. It's very hard to believe your eyes sometimes now when you see stuff right on screens and how's it been done. And I just feel like this is maybe one of those ones that someone would look at and get it why you like painting miniatures, maybe like, oh, God, there's a lot of work there. That's really cool. That's really, really nice. But they don't know quite what they're looking at. Which I think is nice, right? Because then it gives the nerds something to really froth over. About it. It was in no way is it meant as a slight to anybody. It was just
not at all.
Pure,
It's just it's interesting to think of.
Thing to talk about, but it's lovely. I love his right hand. It's the light on his right hand. I think is my favourite bit.
The hands are silly. They're absolutely silly.
Yeah, very, very cool. Best painted model of the year?
I think it is. He spent a year and a half on it.
I think it's okay to say that.
I chose Remy's just to show something else, but I was going to say Albert's, but we've talked about both, so that's fantastic. But yeah, pretty much. Bring Kirill back. Hopefully he can get that sorted. But yeah, I think it has to be the best paint job of the year. So, but everyone thinks it's best of fantasy, so, even though it didn't get one.
So, what's up next, Matt?
Next up is something we were invited to.
Let's go on the slides here. Yeah. So this is sort of a little bit of two things, really. One, we've spoken about events already, but a huge highlight of this year, I think, for everyone is events are back. Whether it's World Model, whether it's Monty, whether it's Golden Demon, or whether it's simply, your locals, your little local competitions. I think there's all the people that were into it before everything happened who are super excited, and then there's all the people that got into it when everything's been going on and are now getting to go for it for the first time and have been watching the online coverage of people like ourselves, and others. You can't deny it has exploded the last 2-3 years. It's how we've had to communicate with our hobby. So I think, it was a lovely thing to see everything back, and probably the best known painting competition, probably the only painting competition known to the vast majority of Warhammer fans, Golden Demon. And it was the 35th anniversary of it. So super cool, incredibly cool for Matt, because obviously that's numbers and you chronicling and all of that, and you got to have a hand in helping put together the Golden Demon Through the Ages display, which was
and pointing out that it's been 35 years.
Very, very cool. Yeah, and let's be honest, because Matt won't say this, it's in no small part to Matt's badgering that so much actually got done for Golden Demon. So well done, mate. But yeah, we were really happy that we got to go along and do some coverage for the event. I say sadly I was not able to do it, but you guys had an amazing time, right? And an unusual Golden Demon in that it was at Warhammer World.
Yes,
because we didn't have Games Day or Warhammer Fest.
Very unique, very one-off.
I think they're all going to be one-off by this. What it seems like, judging on what they've said about the next one, every single one's unique.
We'll talk about tickets and things like that.
Save my anger for next.
But it feels kind of like it was a nice. I'm okay with it being at Warhammer World in a way, like for the 35th. I kind of fits. It was
great,
and this display just looks wonderful. Just wonderful.
It was. My favorite part was the display. I love that the competition was going on, But honestly, I could have spent the entire weekend and not even looked at anything in the cabinets and just spent the whole weekend there at the 35th display. That's all I really was enjoying most about the whole thing. It was just seeing things that you thought you'd never see again in the flesh, or seeing things in the flesh for the first time that you never thought you would see.
The Victoria Lamb one stood out to me.
Yes.
I was like, I can't believe that's here.
I can't believe she posted it in UPS.
Love it.
UPS is great, man. I'm telling you, it's done me proud a few times.
The Mike McVeigh pieces there for that.
I wasn't going to mention the Mike bit because
I'm legitimately heartbroken that I didn't get to go and be part of it, but I'm incredibly happy that it happened, and and that people got to see this, because Warhammer is the way the majority of people are going to come into miniatures painting. No two ways about it, right? And Golden Demon is, and hopefully remains, the pinnacle of the painting for Warhammer stuff, and as it should do, and I think people get really good at Golden Demon, or people get very good at painting Warhammer, and then they start to look elsewhere, right? And then they start to go to other shows, and they start to look at other manufacturers and all of that, and it's this thing where we say it all the time, that the healthier and the better Games Workshop is doing, the better everyone in the industry is going to do.
Yeah.
And I think there was a lot of concern around the treatment that Golden Demon had been given for the last, maybe not 10 years, but maybe not far off that. And I feel more confident now that it has a direction. Yeah, it has a future.
Temporarily, I did, yeah.
But we will definitely be talking about that on a future episode for sure. But this, as I say, the 35th anniversary GD. I think that the highlight for me, or the story of it for me, is that Dave Soper, obviously, with his 30-year, journey of recreating that Nurgle tank.
That was amazing.
And just, that's
the story behind
next to the Mike McVeigh stuff. That's the one I'm most sad about not seeing, because again, he is a giant of miniatures painting, Dave Soper. And I think it's always nice when you see like cool stories, and Lovely Bloke, which helps too. I think so. It's that would have been really lovely to see. If you've been under a rock, go and check out his Sprockets. Was it Sprockets Small World? Go and check out his blog. It's fantastic.
I'm hoping that he's sorry, you go, man.
I was going to say, it had a very different feel to a demon that you usually go to. I don't know. There was something, I can't really explain it. It was just very different.
Mega. What were you going to say, Andy?
I was saying I hope that Dave Soper is bored of Nurgle and does some stuff I like.
He loves it.
Well, he loves Eldar. So
he
my
does.
Thing, that Farseer is one of my favourite things he's done, and his Dark Elder.
I was going to say the Dark Elder is my favourite.
That's his best Slayer sword winner for sure.
Picked up the that Eldar Marauder kit thing, though, hasn't he? He's working on that.
Corsairs.
The Corsairs, yeah.
There we go. That feels
good.
quite him.
Yeah.
Oh, exciting! Can you imagine? There we go. Slayer sword for next year. Squad by David Soper.
Yeah. You don't often get ain't going to paint that many.
Do you?
He ain't going to paint that bloody many.
He's done it before.
Right. Let's have
last
look.
one.
On the next one. Is it last slide? Right.
And just don't be sad, Henry.
Said, yes. So the biggie, and this is, you could say this is a personal one, but I don't think it is. I think a huge amount of people are thrilled that this year saw the return of Mike McVeigh, with his Instagram account. I mean, obviously he's been incredibly busy in the industry all the time, very successful, running different studios, this, that, and the other. But we haven't seen some Warhammies from him for a long time. And as much as we talk about people like Dave Soper and stuff being, quite rightly sort of giants of it, there's not many who can lay claim to, and he probably wouldn't lay claim to it, but basically creating high-end Warhammer painting, without him. So, yeah.
He's Aslan from The Lion, Witch, and the Wardrobe, where it's like, that meme of "Don't quote the old ways to me, which I was there when they were written." He's that Warhammer.
But he is, right, and it was a fantastic having him on as a guest a few episodes ago. You guys had a brilliant time, didn't you, walking around the exhibition with him and looking at his older pieces, and he thought, I'll paint this up as well. And I think his first Golden Demon entry or whatever. So
yeah, it's the first time he's ever entered.
There you go, because he was too busy judging it when he was back there.
I think,
but it's
the first ever judge, or like in the judge the first ever
must have been, right?
Yeah, he was at the 87 one.
Inaugural.
And then I think he said he did every single one until he left in 99, and then as a judge, and then just he never entered.
Yeah, never even been back, I don't think, was it? Yeah. But it's, it's really, and again, very fortunate that he turned out to be a thoroughly nice bloke as well, which is always a bonus. But
a nice guy.
if you're new to the hobby and you're not too sure who he is, and you're wondering why we're getting all giddy, go and grab some old GW's stuff, and have a Google search and all that, because he's
everywhere.
He's everywhere. He's the reason for an awful lot of it.
I think my favourite bit was because no one knew what he looked like, basically. So he was on the podcast, and then obviously he turned up at GD, and then everyone knew what he looked like, which I thought was great.
I know it was cool to see some of the GW staff like double take and being like, "Wait, what?"
Yeah,
that was great.
Yeah, it's okay to fanboy and fangirl hard sometimes, I think.
Yeah,
some people deserve it. But yeah, so many things. Obviously, we haven't spoken about. Brilliant things of the year, but just relentless, I think, is what it feels like to me. 22, like
yeah.
Can't catch the breath.
Need a break. I've had my break though.
I can't remember if we did on the last show sort of talk about what we're looking forward to next year. I don't think we did. I think we opened the following season with a bit of that sort of, but I honestly don't know. My head's frazzled.
Well, I know what I'm looking forward to the most, and that is the new miniatures range from Cult of Paint. I cannot
That's
wait.
A great shout. Or the new, the next big thing with miniatures painting competitions as well. I'm quite looking forward to that.
Just it's going to be a great year for you and I, Henry.
Well, I think, not to pat on the backs or anything like that, because it's not really down to us. But I'm very, very proud of where everything's going this last year. Season 2's the difficult second album, right? And we've achieved some of what we wanted with it all, and we've got plans to improve next year as well. We've got certain things that we want to do for you all next year, from a coverage point of view, from a filming point of view. We're really excited to bring that to you, and hopefully, we'll look back on season 3 and be as proud as we are of season 2. Season 1 was probably all right, but let's be honest, no one knew what the fuck was going on that year anyway. So I'm not going to stress about that too much. And other than the episode we filmed the other day, not been too sweary, but I did have a bit of that feedback from that last episode, Rich. Turns out the ones you talk a lot on.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Get sweary. So, but I don't blame you for that.
Button.
That's what the disclaimers for it at the start of the show.
Well, yeah, if I'm talking more, there's just more likely that I'm going to swear, because I swear every X amount of words. So if I say X amount of words, I'm going to be more swear words.
You got that feedback at work, didn't you, pal?
There you go.
Yes, 5 days into my job.
There we go. But there's disclaimers for a reason. But yeah, essentially it was just to say, thanks everybody for supporting us with this. We're really enjoying it. It's not always a breeze, but we're really enjoying it, and we want to do more with it next year. And we will close the show out, as we do with all of them, taking a look at #PaintCultist stuff. So we started the Paint Cultist hashtag when we started the show. I think you now got about 17,000 tags, which is pretty cool. If you fancy following a tag on Instagram that's going to expose you to different types of miniatures, different types of painters, sculptors, all sorts of things that maybe you aren't in your normal little sort of hobby echo chamber, just bang it in and follow it. There's some absolute belters on there, and all I do is pop through every couple of weeks, grab a handful that jump out to me, forget entirely why I've picked them, other than they look cool, and then show us all at the end of the show. I can't remember how many there are. I don't think there's many, is there, Matt? I think I tried to be restrained on this
5
one.
this time.
There's some weeks are like outrageous, the quality of stuff, and I think it must be that people must start working on things at similar times. But there's a few whips on there, and I don't think I ever show whips intentionally. But there's a few whips on there, works in progress, that I really hope people finish. Really hope they do, because they're just stunners. So yeah, but this is what did get finished. So what's up first? Oh yeah,
yeah. I nearly sent these to someone earlier. Actually,
just lovely grimdark Sisters of
A little
Battle.
bit of grimdark.
2 features in one ep for this lad.
Hey? Yeah. Just cracking. Yes, please. All over this.
Love white armor with the pink.
Follow this account if you like this style. Yeah, and I love the hot pink. Love it. Like,
it's amazing with everything else so subdued, doesn't it? It's like proper.
It's well done. Like it's not your fire and airbrush at an area OSL. You know, it's good OSL.
That's the key for OSL, right? Don't use an airbrush. That's your first tip. It will automatically come out better if you do it with a brush.
So yeah, just mega. Like this is the type of stuff I was looking at before I remotely thought about having a career in this industry, and this is the type of stuff I'll still look at now when I'm feeling burnt out, and I'll still enjoy it.
Nice.
So
I've got a hankering for something grimdark in me. I can feel it.
Christmas pudding. Got a hankering for that. Right, what's up next?
Oh, wow.
So featured this account on the Last But One show. This account's going through and posting lots of their old work. It's just lovely, and I love the whole taking. I'm assuming that's a taken outside photo.
That's
but
an
now I'm
photo.
looking. Yeah,
looks like Wells.
It's very nice outside, doesn't it? I took some friends there the other week. They were visiting from America, and I was like, "Oh, we'll go and see."
Wells.
Yeah, we'll go and see the cathedral because it's pretty cool, right? It's a nice town. Like, you know, went and got a sausage, look at the cathedral, lovely. And then as we stood outside the cathedral, just this, and these American friends. So like, I want it to be as stereotypical British as possible for them. And out of this, we're about to go in, and like, no, stop. Made everyone step back, and the Grand Order, or whatever it's called, of the Knights Templar just started processing out of the cathedral. It was basically like 20 old white men in capes and, you know, this, that, and the other. I was like, what the fuck? That looks quite sick. And then my friends are just assuming this is what happens in
every day
in England. I'm like, no, I think that one might be quite significant. You know, and they're going out. So that was it's kind of cool. But yeah, this kind of scene, you know, it's
just every day in the UK. That's what the UK looks like.
It's just
town criers.
I love this stuff.
I'd love to be a town crier.
You'd be a good town crier.
You get kicked off for swearing.
I was gonna say, and people wouldn't understand what the fuck you were talking about either. I was like, where's he from in the country? I don't know. I can't place his accent. I can't.
Unbelievers.
Stick to town drunk, mate. You'll have more fun. You'll enjoy yourself more. But yeah, just lovely, old-fashioned, traditional, whatever you want to call it, miniatures making and painting and just displaying. It's just lovely.
Happy place.
It's just like, it is the hobby happy place, isn't it? And I'll probably keep showing pictures from this account for a while, just because it's cool.
Why not?
Super cool. What's up next, Matt? Oh, cool. So obviously we said a while ago, like if you're into sculpting, like post your sculpts on this as well. I'd love to see them. And this is exactly what this account's done. They've seen Wednesday, the new Netflix, I think it's Netflix thing, and they're like, yeah, I want to have a go at doing a render and creating that. I think it's super cool. It's I certainly couldn't do it. But it's the you said earlier, the access to 3D printers now and just how tech literate many people are now. It's pretty exciting. You haven't got to be a green stuff master to create things anymore. You just you can learn. You can use different media. Don't know, to do it.
I think we'll we'll see a lot more of the Wednesday stuff like coming out in miniatures soon. It's got quite big.
Yeah, it has, right?
Yeah.
which is cool.
First I've seen or
It's always been a brilliant sort of, I won't say aesthetic, but it's always been an iconic show and characters. It always seems to come round every decade. It's like the Batman
every
films,
generation.
Right? Everyone's got the best Batman film of that generation. It's kind of
like for us, Wednesday will always be Christina Ricci,
who apparently is in this one.
She is. I've watched it. It was a really good show.
Yeah, there you go. So, but yeah, okay. Well, we'll keep an eye out then. You're calling that for what's going to be hot for the next couple of months in miniatures.
If all of the ridiculous amounts of people doing the dance on TikToks to go by.
That I'm glad to say I
TikTok is
literally have no idea
by,
about, so that's okay. That's Matt betraying the age gap.
Matt,
you and TikTok, man.
There was that time,
I'm addicted.
wasn't there? When it was every other fucking model was Harley Quinn, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And whatever that's called.
When Fury came out, every tank commander was just Brad Pitt.
Yeah. There we go. Right, couple more. I think.
Cool.
Like this elicited that noise from me when I first saw it.
Yeah.
Great account name.
Yeah.
Just
is this new?
Super cool.
Chaos Marines.
One of the new Havocs, isn't it?
Havocs.
Newish. Yeah.
Yeah.
The Havocs weren't even
that was this year, was it?
No, Havocs weren't this year. Havocs were their last release, weren't they?
All right.
I'm going to guess this is Sons of Malice. I don't know. It's just super cool. And at first, I glanced at it and I was like, "Oh, it's that fast and loose grimdark style." And then you look at it for a couple of seconds, and I think you could appreciate actually a lot of work's gone into it. It's just a wonderful style. That sort of it's not illustrative, but you know what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
Third degree is pretty cool.
It's just wrap.
Feels evil. Third degree, that's rust, my friend.
Rust.
That's orange, not blue.
Feels does feel evil, doesn't it? And I think it's not easy to get a lot of the GW Chaos stuff, Marine stuff anyway, looking evil. I think it's very easy to make it look a bit comical.
Yes.
So yeah, to get that sense of brooding menace and just nastiness.
Bad guy.
Yeah, he's a bad guy, right?
Make 40k cool again. Come on.
Make 40k evil again.
Just cool.
But
all right. McDonald's space rooms, isn't it?
Love it. So that means there must be one more.
Last one.
There we go. That's what I'm talking about. Capybara with a fish in a wheelbarrow.
That's a capybara.
That's what that is, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'm guessing it is.
Just didn't know.
Big old carrot in his pouch thing.
It's just, and what a hat.
It's a train conductor hat, though, isn't it?
It's brilliant. I'm trying to remember what the comment was. I think this was a smaller miniature, and the guy blew it up to be 54mm just so he could have some more fun painting it. And that's just a great example again, isn't it, of the freedom that STLs have brought us.
Too much freedom.
And my personal I think my take home of 22 particularly is just how many great like anthropomorphic things there are out there. And I'm just really glad people are painting them.
I love how it's on a biscuit tin jar lid.
Yeah, it's got the suction cup.
Yeah.
It's just great. It's just
Andy's face.
great.
Andy's face is just like, what the fuck?
Like, it does nothing but bring me joy, this model, and I hope it did the same to the person who painted it. Yeah, brilliant. Just brilliant.
That's
and,
funny. That's amazing.
Yeah, I need to talk to Andy about season 3 of Daregard, actually. I've had some ideas.
Capybaras.
So yeah,
No
that's
elves, mate.
a handful of the paint cards. But seriously, I fucking love it. I think it's great, that stuff. Yeah, that's it for the paint colours. So if you want to get in touch with us, if you think there's some accounts we should follow, some topic you'd love us to talk about, something you'd like us to cover, shows or whatever, then please feel free to get in touch with us at all of the usual places on social media or email or whatever. It's all pretty easy to find. Thanks, chat, for being here all year. It does make it more enjoyable. It's why it's always a bit weird doing these pre-record episodes. There's only a handful of the Patreons in there. Obviously, a huge thank you to the Patreons. And if you're watching this back, we really appreciate that as well. Like, subscribe, all the usual. It genuinely does help us. But yeah, thanks, gents. I think it's been fun.
It's been a good year.
It's been fun enough to keep doing it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not always. Sometimes you've got to psych yourself up a bit, right? But I always come away from these shows feeling pumped. It's like that feeling from going for a gaming weekend, or
I was about to say it's like the gym, but for the hobby. I can't be fucked to go and do this sometimes, but then when you go afterwards, you get like the endorphins. Actually, I want to go paint now.
Yeah, big time. So yeah, thanks to all the guests we've had on in 22. We've got some fab ones lined up for next year as well. As we say, hopefully a few more in-person ones as well. We still have not recorded all in one place, have we? Oh yeah, the Heresy Weekender, but we didn't get to do a proper episode for that. That was Andy and Matt's Slightly Strange OnlyFans filming, wasn't it, in the hotel room?
I like
with
that.
The wallpaper. But yeah, so yeah, thanks chaps, thanks chat, and we'll see you next time.
Ciao.
Bye.